I would like to introduce our guest speaker for the evening, Mpho. Perfect.
Hello, Justine. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Mpho. So just to tell everyone a little about you, Mpho is a gender-based violence activist and the founder of the Against Gender-Based Violence Support Group for the Movement of Asylum Seekers in Ireland, or MASI, supporting and advocating for refugees and persons seeking asylum who experience gender-based violence while living in direct provision. Mpho has an MA in town and regional planning and has worked as a lecturer, a professional town planner, and a freelance columnist. She's been living in direct provision since August 2019 and has recently been granted permission to remain. So congratulations, Mpho, on that. Many of our audience here are in the States in America and so are not familiar with direct provision. So I wondered if we could just start with what is direct provision and what are some of the kind of main issues or problems that have arisen because of that system?
Okay, hi, Justine, once again, and thank you for having me here. Direct provision, for those who are not aware, it's an Irish system that started in 2000. It was intended to be an accommodation system for people applying for international protection here in Ireland. It came about as a short-term solution to say people would be housed for a maximum of 6 months while their applications were being processed. Its main purpose was to provide accommodation, meals, support healthcare services, and also provide a stipend for people, weekly stipend for people. That's how direct provision came to being, and that's what it was meant to serve. Unfortunately, the reality is the total opposite. Myself, I've been living in direct provision since the 21st of August, 2019. So in a few weeks' time, it will be my 2 years here, which says people don't live for 6 months as it had been intended. There are people who have been here for 15 years, between 10 and 15 years. Another reality about, generally when you talk of direct provision, it's really an open prison. It's a violation of human rights, freedom, and dignity, because when people live here, that all of that is stripped away from them. The accommodation system, for instance, people live in shared, intimate spaces, such as bedrooms. I'm fortunate because I came with a child, so at least we have our private housing. And Mosnil, unlike most direct provision centers across Ireland, has about 800 residents, or families rather, and it's one of the few that has on-door houses. So at least I have my own sanctuary here with my child where I don't have to interact with other people, but in other centers, people live in like hotel structures. So single people are the most vulnerable because they are forced to share with strangers. You find people living in a tiny single bedroom with between 2 to 5 residents in a room. The problem with that, it's a recipe for conflict. It's people who are adults, who are strangers. Some don't even speak the same language, different race. They're all packed in one room. Single bedrooms. Imagine, I'm a very big woman, as you can see. I'm very tall, by the way, and I don't fit on a single bedroom, but I've slept on a single bedroom for some time when I came to Mosney, and it was the most uncomfortable experience. And then there's somebody who has been sleeping on that bed for like 10 years. Just imagine, like, and now on top of that, they're sleeping with 5 other people or 4 more other people in that same room. No lockers, no space whatsoever, no privacy. They share bathrooms, they share dining halls. And this during the COVID-19 was sort of a health hazard because there were clusters of COVID-19 because people were infected, and that could not be prevented because people they shared almost everything. And it's unfortunate that there was not even that much response to help the people, because the little that was done was to put maybe 3 in a room or 2 in a room, which is still not healthy, because when we are people who are strangers, one is still living their life outside DP, you know. Another challenge, apart from the accommodation, food. People live in places where they have predetermined timetables for eating. They don't cook for themselves. I'll give you a typical example. I have a child, she's not a baby anymore, she's 14 years old now. She's not much of a foodie. She's a very picky eater. She doesn't eat meat. She doesn't eat anything that is mixed with something else. She wants something plain. And it was so difficult for her to eat. So she only lived on green salad, the greeny leaves all the time for the time that we stayed in a hotel for 7 months. And I felt sorry for people who had younger babies, because kids want to eat at any given time. And when you live in a space where you're not allowed to take food into the house, into the room, and the food that is offered is not even child friendly, it's a mess. I don't even know how people make it. I don't know how we make it, but by the grace of God, we are here. We're still smiling with you. You see normal people, but nothing is normal about this system. Nothing is normal about this life. Apart from the problem of food, there's a lot of abuse that takes place in direct provision centers. Managers are very abusive. There are a lot of things, like I was saying, during the COVID-19 period, people were locked literally like caged animals in the centers where they lived. The reason being, if they go out, they'll catch the COVID and come back and infect others. But now $1 million question, the center managers don't stay in the centers. Every day after work, they leave, they go and interact with their own families. In the mornings, they come. So this COVID kind of no status now, kind of happened. There was a misconception like COVID knows our status because you're a refugee, you're an applicant, you go out, you're going to catch COVID and infect others. But the same manager goes out on weekends, they do their lives, and then they come back, they interact with us. When they infect us now. So it was a bit tricky. Family structures are really broken in direct provision. Like I said, my case would always be, I'll speak from my case, at least I'm with my daughter, it's a girl child, so it's easy to share private, intimate spaces. There are people who have kids, like adults, boys and girls, their families as in a man and a woman, they come in direct provision, they're stuck in one bedroom, just imagine. And then the hotels are locked, you're not allowed to even go out. There you are as a human being, stuck, a man and a wife with your kids. How do people survive? Like, I can't even begin to understand how those with setups like that survive. But like I'm saying, people survive because they say, when you don't have an option, anything that is there, you'll make use of it because that's all you have. Another thing that is a problem, like I was saying, abuse from center managers. I'll give you a typical example in some instances so that you get what I'm saying. The center managers are supposed to provide, because of the stipend is so little, there are certain aspects that are supposed to be provided within the centers, like sanitary towels, like shampoos. People would be given a same shampoo. You have a child, they're expecting you to wash your newborn baby with the same shampoo that you're using. Our skin textures are not the same. I'm Black, somebody's white. We are staying in the center, somebody's Chinese, somebody's Indian. Our skins are not the same. You're all giving us the same product. How is that helping me? How is that helping the next person? And the worst part, they don't even have labeling, so you don't even know what you're using to start with. When you complain, you're subject to being transferred. You can't complain in direct provision, they'll transfer you to the West. You complain today, the next day you receive a letter from MAPAS, they're sending you to a godforsaken country. So it instills a lot of fear amongst people. People don't want to talk because they're scared of being transferred. I think because of the work that I do, I was like, hell no, if they transfer me, send me to the ends of the world, I'll still speak because this is what we need to do. Otherwise, how would you guys here know about the things that are happening if we are all afraid that we'll be scared? So I always said, transfer me as long as there's a roof over my head and food on my table. That's what I need. The rest, I don't care. And as much as I'm saying I don't care, I do care, because there's this little person that depends on me. With each transfer means a new school for her. With each transfer means I'm going to meet new people. Everywhere you go as a human being, you make networks, you know, you look for a job, and then when they transfer, you start from square one with new people. You have to adjust to everything. So it's not okay. It's not okay, but that's what we do. That's how we survive, unfortunately. There was a case of a lady, like I said, I'll give you a typical example. There was a case of a lady, she needed sanitary towels in one center. And I'm a woman. Maybe in my culture, cultures are different. I don't even walk around in the streets holding sanitary towels. It's something private. Here you ask for sanitary towels from a man, a security guard, and he will tell you, I'm giving you a packet, one packet. He doesn't have menstruation. How does he know how much I need? If I'm saying I need 3 packets, that's what I need. And he will tell me, no, you can't have 3 packets. Who the hell are you? How do you know how much blood I discharge every cycle? But that's the case. And he refused to give us sanitary towels. So you can imagine, I only get 38 euros a week to buy my cosmetics, to try to buy certain foods that I cannot be provided with indirect provision. For instance, that I will sneak into my room because now I'm acting like a criminal because I'm forced to be a criminal, you know. Now there's that somebody there who wants to give me one pack. What the hell is that? I'm sorry for the language, but it's just so frustrating. You're like, what do you know? Like, he's a man. What does he know about my cycle as a woman? Why do they even have a man in charge of that for starters? You know. Another. I jotted down a few pointers here. So forgive me for looking. Like I said, the places are not child friendly. Kids have nowhere to play. Our kids grow up with shame. I have my child here. She has a friend that she met, that she went to school with back in my country. The child's parents were expatriates, right? So they went to the same school with my daughter. And I was like, oh, you can reach out to your friend. She's like, no. And then she's gonna want to visit me and see where I live. And then like, I can't have people seeing where I live. Can you imagine growing with that shame on your shoulders? You don't want people to know where you live. But even if she wanted people to know, we are not allowed to have visitors. So you can't be visiting people and then people can't come to your own space because we are not allowed to have visitors. But at the same time, there was a point in time where we were not allowed to go out, lest we brought back COVID, you know, so that was that. And then another thing, the unwarranted transfers, like I said, they can transfer you any day at any given time for any reason whatsoever. But if you are asking for a transfer yourself, they will never transfer you. They will tell you, no, you can't be transferred. So it's like that. If I answered what direct provision generally is about.
Yeah, no, thinking, I think that like just that wide range of, you know, what might seem from the outside is like little things, but when you understand like just how much everything, right, is out of your control and how much everything is taken away from you as far as your agency as a human being, right? Like the accumulation of that and that shame that you're talking about and that frustration, I'm sure, that helplessness, it creates a system that is just untenable for people to be existing in. Absolutely. I was wondering if you could talk about a little bit of the work that MASI does and your involvement with them and their kind of agenda more broadly as far as trying to dismantle the system of direct provision.
Okay, MASI was born in 2014. I was fortunate enough, how I got to know about MASI myself. I was fortunate, if that's fortune, to meet Lucky, one of the co-founders in 2019 when I got here. My dad passed away 2 weeks after I arrived in Ireland. I knew nobody in Ireland. I met one lady in the elevator and I was crying. She's like, okay, are you okay? I'm like, my dad just passed away and I don't know who she called, but then I received this call from this person who came to pay his respect, and he has been a support structure since that day. So my point, MASI provides support for people that's how I got to know about MASI myself. But obviously, because I've only been here since 2019, it's been here since 2014. How it came about, a group of international protection applicants in one center were tired of these things that I was listing that are happening in people's spaces. So they took over the center, they organized themselves, took over a center, and one morning they woke up and it was shut down, total shutdown. They sent everybody away, they locked the gate, nobody was allowed in except the security guards, because there are things that are operated by them. So they negotiate, they only said they wanted to talk to the government representatives. So the government adhered to that, to the core. And amongst other things that MASI wanted, they were asking for better living conditions. They were asking for the end to direct provision, ending deportations, the speedy processing of applications. Like I said, some people there are people who have been here 15 years and they're in direct provision. I've been here 2 years. It feels like a lifetime. I can only imagine 15 years. And the right to work, prior to MASI existence, asylum seekers had zero rights to working and to education. So people were stuck there altogether. And another one of the fundamental reasons really was to expose the system. There wouldn't be a place like this if probably there weren't people who stood up and exposed what was happening. Actually, people here, when they see you as asylum seekers, and they're like, oh, they're here binging off our government, there she is surviving when I'm lazy. They don't know. I want to work. I've been working all my adult life. I've been financially independent. Why would I want to give that away for 38 euros? I can't do anything. I can't even buy my daughter anything decent from 38 euros. I can't provide for myself. I can't provide for her. So when people don't know, they get so many misconceptions about the system. So MASI's intention was to expose the system to the people in general, to the rest of the world, and to get attention from the government. So that's how it came to being. The work that it has succeeded in doing thus far, people now have the right to work. Well, we can't work from the onset when we get here, but when I came, it was 9 months waiting period. And then there was massive submission to the Justice and Equality Committee, or the Catherine Day Committee, that was set up to review the system of direct provision in 2019. One of the milestones of MASI, it had representation in that committee. There was one person, but one person that at least was our voice. And because of that one voice, a lot of our issues were put forth, and the white paper that was published this year addressed some of our grievances, not all of them, but at least, so it's a stepping stone for us, because it's a victory for even one thing to change. So like I'm saying, now people have the right to work after 6 months of being here in Ireland. The sad part about the right to work, though, there is that paper that we are given. Nobody knows that paper. So when you apply for a job, employers don't know that. It looks like just a paper. It looks just like this paper. It's something like this. It has my picture. It doesn't look like any official document. And people are given 6 months. It used to be 6 months, now it's 1 year. So nobody wants to train you, employ you, train you, and then 6 months later, it's not renewed. So it was becoming very difficult. Another challenge, people can only be taken in certain jobs, so like the lowest paying ones, that's where we are. That's where we can only get employed. Like I said, I have a master's in town and regional planning. Yes, the systems are different, but nobody touches me. I've done property management here in Ireland. I'm looking for an apprenticeship as we're speaking. Every day I apply. There are words that I now hate. You are not what we are looking for, unfortunately. I get called for every job that I've applied. I think my name maybe confuses people. They can't tell what race or what then they see me, this, and suddenly I'm not what people are looking for. Everybody in my class, because we are all looking to proceed, has got now an apprenticeship. I don't, and I understand why, because it's me. And unfortunately, it's a reality I have to deal with. And it's a sad reality still. Systems are changing, but you know how you progress 1-2 steps ahead and then you realize it's pushing me back to square one. It reminds me that this is me and I'm an asylum seeker and I cannot be given equal opportunities as another. Yes, in codes I do, but in actual fact, I don't. So that's the one thing that's the right work. There's at least now people can study. It's still very limited. For instance, kids whose parents are on deportation cannot study. So, and then one can be on deportation process for 5 years. So it means that kids will not go access that level education. The grants, they're limited to certain, like when you're doing level 5s, level 6s, they're a bit available. With my master's, I had to study a level 5 course just to pass time. And for me, it felt like a waste of my time, to be honest, not to be arrogant or anything. It just seemed like a waste of my time. I was in class with kids younger than my eldest son, but I had no choice. It was me trying to integrate and be part of the Irish education system. So if the system at least could be flexible enough and create stepping stones. Yes, I come here, someone is a doctor, someone is an engineer. Systems may be different from where we are coming from, but at least create that bridge that allows me to integrate into your own systems so that I can be of use to the government. We are not here to take anyone's money or what. We want to be free and safe from whatever we ran away from our countries, you know. So that is that. The right to work, the right to education. And there's this on its own, me being able to speak out, that's MASI's work, because nobody knew about us and our existence. And there's an immense support that is within the centers. We now know each other, there's solidarity, we support each other. Like I said, I co-founded a group that is called MASI Against Gender-Based Violence because of what I do from home and on my space and witnessing a lot of gender-based violence that happens within the centers. That is not noted because nobody cares. When people kill each other in direct provision, nobody cares. We are not people, we are just one of those things, you know. So we initiated that. So there's a support within us. We are empowered. We now know our rights. We interact with people, at least. So that's what MASI has been doing. Without taking too much time, I could go on and on because there's so much to say. So yeah.
No, and especially like the right to work was such a huge, milestone, I think, that was at least like a piece of the puzzle that we could kind of address. But as you're saying, right, it's a 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And even with the best intentions, the way that it's dealt with is not actually fixing the problem as much as just dismantling the entire system would do. What do you hope to see happening with direct provision in Ireland, and what can we here in the States or those of us based in Ireland do to help support MASI and their work?
What you're doing right now, that's you as the general communities, as the world, supporting MASI to expose direct provision, to show the world what Ireland are. Unfortunately, I know there are Irish people in our midst, and I don't mean any respect, but as a person who is an outsider in Ireland, I realize Ireland has a lot of institutionalization. Anything they don't like, they shove somewhere in a corner, and it's a dirty, dark secret that is unknown. Nobody talks about such things. So now we are breaking that, so people know that these things, this abuse, this human rights violation is going on in Ireland, and the world knows. So this is what we are hoping to see time and again. Generally, they need to end the system. This is not suitable for human beings. It has absolutely no respect for who people are, and it should just be dismantled. As in now, not in 2024 or whenever, it should end. Number two, deportations. Deportations are harsh. You're sending me to a place where I escape death. So what happens to me when I get there? They kill me. Like, so what is my life worth? It's worth nothing, because that's what deportations are generally about. So they need to stop the deportations. And they do them a lot, and they come in the middle of the night, they pick you and you're gone. Your roommates don't even know that what happened to you, you just disappear. Deportations, that's what they do to human beings. The speedy processing of papers, they need to process papers as fast as possible, because it's people's lives in limbo. It's people's time being wasted away. People that can actually add value to the Irish system. That is what the Irish government needs to see. We are people who can add value to their economic growth. We are not here to get freebies. We are not here for handouts. No, we are people who are incapacitated to contribute to society at large. You know, equal access for education. It needs to be given to my child as any other. She's in Ireland. So if you don't give her the equal opportunity as an Irish child, what future will she have in Ireland? So that needs to happen. And the right to work. We are human beings. One of the things that empower us and give us dignity as human beings is to be able to provide for ourselves and our kids and our families. When that is taken away, you're breaking my spirit as a human being. I lose purpose. You know, so those are some of the things that we would really, really love to see happening, and not in the far future, like as soon as possible. Thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you, Mpho, for those beautiful words, for, you know, the very important message and the work that you're doing in spreading that around. So thank you again for joining us. It's been such a pleasure and an honor to have you here present today.